Today is February 17th, 2026, and this is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so I had asked you a question about this place called Harris Ranch. I asked you, how many cows are in Harris Ranch? And you just Googled.
I have no idea, but I Googled, because you were looking for a really smelly
100,000
ranch.
cattle. 100,000 cattle. 400
this
employees.
This is on I-5 in California, and if you've been to California and you've driven on I-5, you know about Harris
Yeah,
Ranch.
I-5 is the big highway between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, it goes all the way up the coast.
Yeah,
but so I just Googled, what are the smelliest ranches by big highways? Boom.
Okay.
Out of like 5 things that came up, the first 5, like 4 of them are about Harris Ranch. Don't have a cow, dude. Harris Ranch, Coalinga. Does Harris Ranch still smell on the I-5? Like, it's just well known.
And it does smell on I-5. That's why I'm thinking about it. Every time you go down there, all of a sudden you hear the smell and you look over and there's just cows as far as the eye can see.
Yeah. Harris Ranch, insanely huge cattle farm. It's insanely huge.
Why did I ask you to look that up?
Because Solomon is going to dedicate the temple, and he's going to sacrifice a lot of cattle.
Yeah, 22,000 oxen, 120,000 sheep.
Okay.
So
it's kind of on that
in the neighborhood,
scale.
like slaughtering the whole Harris Ranch. Okay, so this is basically dedicating the temple now. It's going to feel a lot like yesterday. Just if my people pray, and if they turn aside, then listen from heaven and hear and heal them. Okay, we're going to begin. 2 Chronicles 7. As soon as Solomon finished his prayer, that's from yesterday, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. I mean, this just speaks of the magnitude and the massiveness of God, and just that he would come and fill the temple, just like he did when Moses dedicated the temple as well. A lot of parallels here. The tabernacle in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And the priests could not enter the house of the Lord because the glory of the Lord filled the house. And when all the people of Israel saw the fire come down and the glory of the Lord fill the temple, they bowed down with their faces to the ground on the pavement and worshipped and gave thanks to the Lord, saying, "For he is good, his steadfast love endures forever." I mean, just the proper response, a response of worship to our great God who comes and meets with his people. And this common refrain, for the Lord is good, his steadfast love endures forever. We're going to see that here in a little bit. It comes back in chapter 5.
5 verse 13.
Yep.
For he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. At the end of Solomon's prayer in chapter 6, verse 42, remember your steadfast love for David, your servant.
Yeah, and this is just a common refrain that Israel would sing. Your steadfast love endures forever. Okay, here come all the sacrifices.
Okay, verse 4. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifice before the Lord. King Solomon offered as a sacrifice 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of God. The priests stood at their posts, the Levites also with the instruments for music to the Lord that King David had made for giving thanks to the Lord, for his steadfast love endures forever. Whenever David offered praises by their ministry, opposite them the priests sounded trumpets, and all Israel stood.
And Solomon consecrated the middle of the court that was before the house of the Lord, for there he offered the burnt offering and the fat of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar Solomon had made could not hold the burnt offering and the grain offering and the fat.
At that time, Solomon held the feast for 7 days, and all Israel with him, and a very great assembly from Lebo-Hamath to the brook of Egypt. And on the 8th day they held a solemn assembly, for they had kept the dedication of the altar for 7 days, and the feast 7 days. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away to their homes, joyful and glad of heart for the prosperity that the Lord had granted to David and to Solomon and to Israel, his people.
Thinking about gladness and joy of heart. I mean, that comes when you're involved and engaged in a church or people of God, when God is blessing that with a great work. There's a great joy that comes over all the people.
Yeah.
Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord and the king's house. All that Solomon had planned to do in the house of the Lord and in his own house, he successfully accomplished. Then the Lord appeared to Solomon in the night and said to him, "I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up the heavens so there is no rain, or command the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. It's a promise to Israel, often applied to people in our land, if my people called by the name. But it's if the whole nation is repenting and crying out, then he will heal their land.
I think it's interesting, though, that's very much of what Solomon prayed for in chapter 6. If these people who are in this situation humble themselves and pray, God, Lord, please hear them and forgive them.
Yeah, just if there's anything that stirs you to pray, these chapters we've been reading ought to stir you to pray. Just praying for answered prayer, praying for God to listen to prayers. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and consecrated this house that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will be there for all time. And as for you, if you walk before me as David your father walked, doing according to all that I have commanded you and keeping my statutes and my rules, then I will establish your royal throne as I covenanted with David your father, saying, you shall not lack a man to rule Israel. So that's going to be the Messiah who's always going to sit on the throne of David forever.
It's the covenant of David.
Yep.
Verse 19, but if you turn aside and forsake my statutes and my commandments that I have set before you, and go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will pluck you up from my land that I have given you, and this house that I have consecrated for my name. I will cast you out of my sight, and I will make it a proverb and a byword among all peoples. And that's what happened in the exile, which these people have lived through. Verse 21, and at this house which was exalted, everyone passing by will be astonished and say, why has the Lord done thus to the land and to this house? Then they will say, because they abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshipped them and served them. Therefore he has brought all this disaster upon them.
Yeah, I just think of how applicable this is for the people in the exile, because these things were fulfilled in their days.
Yes.
As Babylon came and destroyed the nation, and they were made a proverb and a byword among the people, and they say, why is the house of the Lord whatever crushed like that? It's because they abandoned God.
Right. It's not a mystery why it happened. It's just interesting, I think, here how often there's references to the exile and the captivity.
Well, like we've tried to say over and over and over again, this is written after the exile to encourage the people to really focus upon the throne and on the temple. And we're seeing the throne, Solomon, saying there's not going to lack a person on the throne, even dedicating the temple, just to give people vision for what Israel could be. Okay, so at the end of every chapter, we're trying to summarize some things. And I think that, this fire from heaven is pretty unique. And then the number of these sacrifices is pretty unique. And then just God responding to Solomon's prayer. This is really an answer to Solomon's prayer in chapter 6, that if you people pray, and God says, well, if this happens, and if they pray, then I'm going to listen to them. But if they turn away, I will forsake their land. Okay, and then chapter 9, we just have...
Chapter 8.
Chapter 8, rather. The ESV says Solomon's accomplishments. That's pretty close to what's being done. It's also just Solomon's obedience to the Lord, just pledging that. At the end of 20 years, in which Solomon had built the house of the Lord and his own house, Solomon rebuilt the cities that Hiram had given to him and settled all the people of Israel in them.
And Solomon went to Hamath Zobah and took it. He built Tadmor in the wilderness and all the store cities that he built in Hamath. He also built Upper Beth-horon and Lower Beth-horon, fortified cities with walls, gates, and bars. And Baalath and all the store cities that Solomon had, and all the cities for his chariots, and the cities for his horsemen, and whatever Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion. All the people who were left of the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, who were not of Israel, from their descendants who were left after them in the land, whom the people of Israel had not destroyed, these Solomon drafted as forced labor, and so they are to this day. But of the people of Israel, Solomon made no slaves for his work. They were soldiers and his officers, the commanders of his chariots and his horsemen. And these were the chief officers of King Solomon, 250, who exercised authority over the people.
Solomon brought Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to the house that he had built for her, For he said, my wife shall not live in the house of David, king of Israel, for the place to which the ark of the Lord has come are holy.
Interesting. Verse 12, then Solomon offered up burnt offerings to the Lord on the altar of the Lord that he had built before the vestibule.
And here's Solomon's obedience.
As the duty of each day required, offering according to the commandment of Moses for the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the 3 annual feasts, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Booths. According to the ruling of David, his father, he appointed the divisions of the priests for their service, and the Levites for their offices of praise and ministry before the priests, as the duty for each day required, and the gatekeepers in their divisions at each gate. For so David the man of God had commanded. And they did not turn aside from what the king had commanded the priests and the Levites concerning any matter and concerning the treasuries.
Thus was accomplished all the work of Solomon from the day the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid until it was finished, so the house of the Lord was completed.
Verse 17, then Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and Elath on the shore of the sea in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent to him by the hand of his servants ships and servants familiar with the sea. And they went to Ophir together with the servants of Solomon and brought from there 450 talents of gold and brought it to King Solomon.
Yep, I can barely think you can do a better summary than just Solomon's accomplishments. I mean, that's verse 16. Thus was accomplished all the work of Solomon from the day of the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid until it was finished. So just all the things that he had done. The people he brought in, the houses he made, cities, all this. This is the high point of the people of Israel, and we're going to see that in Queen of Sheba tomorrow. Just she comes and she sees his wealth and his wisdom and just magnifies just how great a kingdom Solomon is reigning over. So, okay, we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.